Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Talking Horses on a beautiful Friday, July 23rd, here at Saratoga. He's Anthony Stabile. I'm Andy Serling. Go over today's card at Saratoga as we head into weekend number 2, day number 7 at Saratoga. We are fast, and I believe we're listed as firm as well, as the weather is absolutely spectacular. You need to head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, no better time than the present to sign up for Naira Bets. Use the promo code SPA200. Join Naira Bets, play through Naira Bets, keep the money in the game, and support racing in New York. We have a $2,000 Pick 5 hit and split. Love that green letter so you can't read, you know? Really brings it all out to the fore.
The
Anthony,
worst color I've ever seen in my life.
Can you see it?
Yeah, split 2,000 when you hit Saratoga's late Pick 5 on Fridays.
All right, opt
you
in.
got to opt in. That's what that little box, circle gets the square.
I think this is
says.
a test. You know, Anth, I think this is a test. I'm failing it. Maybe I get those night goggles.
It's that 70s song. These eyes.
You think?
You gotta have really good vision.
I
to
think
get
we
that opt-in
we
in.
need up here are night goggles. I think the night
vision goggles.
Yeah, I think they might.
It's like in Step Brothers. You want to be J.C. Riley or Will Ferrell? You're Will Ferrell. I'll be J.C.
You were more like J.C. Riley and Boogie Nights.
Absolutely.
Saturday contest. You have until 5 o'clock today to sign up. $300 buy-in, all cash prizes, seats as well. If you don't even get prizes, you can still keep the money. It's a live money contest. Fun to play. Saratoga Live today, 1 to 6:30 on FS2, covering all the action. How are you, Anthony?
How much you bench? That's for the S.
Yeah,
right? How much you bench?
I got it.
You first.
I get things, you know.
You first.
I'm reasonably smart. I get things.
How much do you bench?
Not a lot.
About as much as me.
Not a lot. Some about what a drink weighs. Anyway, we got 10 to talk about. We're going to head over to race number 1. And I'm going to talk about the horse that ran Buckingham Prince for trainer Norm Cassie, who for the Mary Lou Whitney stable won the Schuylerville opening day. I don't know. I'm going to be very surprised if one of these horses, and this is one of those races for horses that sold or RNA'd for $45,000 or less in their most recent sale, they better be runners to beat this horse. I thought the horse that won the race, the Asmussen runner, was okay. And the third place finisher came back to win for what it's worth. I think it was a 4.5 furlong race, though. But I thought Buckingham Prince was just a super logical horse and not a horse I'm interested in trying to beat.
I took a couple of shots with a couple of firsters. I have a little push on the 9, Big Scully.
What's the difference between a little push and a big push?
Well, here's the little push.
Do you have like a push meter?
Little push is this horse is working really, really well. We think he's okay. That's a little push.
Okay, he'll be last.
The big push is you can bet this horse today.
Do any of these pushes tips ever win?
Yeah.
They feel like they're around 3%, maybe 2%.
They win.
Not very often.
Now this horse
they don't tell me they're a tip.
This horse might be a little bit of a work in progress. I don't know. I like the way the 7 Stolen Base was working. A couple of nice breezes down at Keeneland. We saw Mike Maker do this with a couple of 2-year-olds over at Belmont. And then a little bit of a maintenance drill once the string got up here I lost a month. Wow, mid-July. So, yeah, I want to take a little bit of a shot with...
It's not months we're looking for you to lose.
Maker. Yeah, I know, with pounds. Maker. Those 2-year-olds, like I said, they've been running well. So I'm going to take a shot with that one.
As far as Stolen Base, the 7, Stolen Base worked 21-2 at the Ocala April sale where he sold. And I was not impressed with that work at all, for what it's worth. The number 6, Good Skate for Rudy Rodriguez, a first foal. Dam ran buyer figures in the 80s. I put that second. Figured with Irad Ortiz, horse is probably live. But I'm going with experience here. And in these kind of races, I'd be surprised if there's a horse better than the 8, if the 8 comes back and runs her first race. And there's no way you're getting 3-1 on him by post time. Race number 2, as seems to happen fairly often, Anthony Stabile and I are on very different planets because I don't know how on paper you see this as significantly more than a 2-horse race. Now, we'll start with the one you have on top with Time Limit, another horse for 3 Diamonds, who I thought ran fine last time, arguably ran as well as anybody in here. It was a race that was dominated by horses that sat off the pace, and Time Limit ran very well. I have no knock on this horse, drew well towards the outside, and is the horse to beat along with Fetching.
Yeah, I obviously don't really prefer Fetching today. I thought Time Limit just made way too much sense today. Dropping back in against horses that, I mean, let's face it, Honey Pants is a knock-around stakes sprint stakes horse. I'm not saying she's a graded stakes horse, but Too Sexy came back and won. She just ran against better horses. Now she's back in with the State Breds. I'm singling her early and everything. I think she's a cinch today.
The horse probably to beat is the one Fetching, despite what Anthony seems to think.
You think Fetching's a more likely winner of this race than Time Limit?
It's at worst a coin flip.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with Time Limit. I don't have, I think it's very close between these two. But we'll take a look at Fetching's last race, and she had a little trouble getting through, but she got a very good trip overall. But the reality is she's a better turf sprinter. You have to be very careful about looking at her races that aren't shorter races, and I think even 5.5 is probably even better for her. She's just consistently runs well in her races. No problem with the barn switch to George Weaver off the claim. And I just think it's basically, I don't, how do you like horses like Awesome Roar and other, who else do you have on top of this horse in here? I mean, I don't have a problem with the 10. She can clearly.
Awesome Roar and I have Kinky Socks. I just
How?
think, well, I don't like Fetching. I think Fetching, and I agree with you, anything beyond really 6 furlongs, you probably just want to strike from the record because she's a sprinter. She's a one-turn kind of horse. I'm going to retract that. She's a sprinter because the Belmont, the mile's a one-turn. She's a sprinter. I feel like she's fallen off her best form. Now, that's not to say the form she's in doesn't make her competitive here, but I don't like betting horses like that are falling off form because if she's fallen off form from a level she was at, what's to say it's not going to continue? I haven't seen enough from her lately. She's going to be the second choice. You seem to think it's more of a coin flip, so maybe she's favored or they're co-favored in here. I think she's a horse to bet against today.
Okay. You've got the 5, and what are we betting in lunches? We're at 76. You won yesterday. Good call. What are we betting?
Whatever you want.
Okay, I'll lay you 3-2 on both. I'll take the one over the 5 and the one over the 9.
You're laying me 3-2 on both?
Yep.
Yes, I'll take that.
Okay. Okay, so I am now up 80 lunches after race number 2.
I just don't know how you can say that.
I don't know how you can possibly look at either Kinky Socks or Awesome Roar and think they're competitive.
Because there is clearly better form in 2020. She's come back and she's tailed off. Now,
I don't know how you look at Awesome Roar and Kinky Socks in this race, and you actually look at the race seriously, and you believe those horses have a better chance to win than Fetching. I don't know how it's possible to look at the form and do that. But listen, we disagree. Race number 3 at a mile on the turf. That's a very tricky race. And we'll take a look at the race with Mutaba, whatever his name is, and Big Everest and Realm of Law. And I do think it's a reasonable argument that Realm of Law in this race, which had a fairly tepid pace, though Bill Mott's horse ran very well and got a ridiculous trip when he came back and just a no-chance ride in his next race. I do think it is a fair argument that Realm of Law was given too much to do in here and probably ran the best race of anybody. But he's now got to work out a trip from the outside post. And I think even though there is other speed, I think Joel Rosario and Big Everest needs to go.
No question about it.
He's got rank last time.
After that effort last time,
go.
Unless you feel like the layoff had him a little too fresh, unless you feel that way, I think you just have to put him on the engine today. I don't disagree with you. And there was some other American laws coming off the dirt. Mutabda was on the lead in front of him last time. I think.
Well, Mutabda, whatever the hell his name is fast.
I put him in front. But I'm with you. I'm aggressive early. More often than not, when one person shows aggression here, the rest of them do not. So I would be the first one. I would try to beat everybody else to the punch.
But what about Charleston Strong and Luis Saez? Isn't he supposed to go in here?
Yeah,
he's potentially the speed of the speed.
I guess. I told you.
He is.
I know that he comes out of faster races, but he's never been put on the lead. He ran a mile at Belmont.
Because he's been running against horses that are faster than him.
But he ran a mile at Belmont, a mile on the 16th at Aqueduct, and 7 furlongs at Belmont, and he's had opportunities to go to the lead. He's never went to the lead.
He didn't have Luis Saez on him.
He had Luis Saez on him.
He has blinkers
last
on
time.
today. Okay,
Yeah.
I bet she's in front today.
Oh, okay, we could bet that too.
Okay, I'd say the 6 is in front on the backstretch. Quarter mile into the race.
When they put the quarter time up, he's got to be in front.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, one lunch. If they're rating him today, they should just turn around and go right back to the
But you
barn area
understand
after
he's
the race.
never been on the lead.
Okay, I understand. I also understand he's faster than the horses in this race, so I also understand that. I think he'll be in front. I could be wrong. I see it differently than you. Not unusual. There is a horse in this race you're supposed to be very excited about, right? And how is it you don't have the 5 Ariston in there at all?
I know.
Who's he have to?
He's a full to Plainsman.
He's a full to Plainsman.
He's a full to Plainsman.
Love
Plainsman most recently won the Schaefer Memorial, I believe, at Indiana Grand on Indiana Derby Day.
That was the race he was pointing to his whole career.
When did I say he was going to be horse of the year? No, Grade 1 winner.
2
2 years ago.
Yeah. How'd that go?
It went terribly. He didn't run till like he ran second to that.
Tom Amos up here. He ran second to Tom Amos. That was the end of his career, basically.
No, the Ron Marquette horse.
It was Marquette. That was Amos.
The fast Marquette horse.
I think he got wired by Amos up here, and I
I'm
think
gonna
that was
go-
it for him.
I'm
He was
gonna
so
go
humiliated.
Marquette.
He was so
I thought
humiliated.
my man Harry Rosenblum owned the horse. I'm not sure though. I want to go with Marquette. Anyway.
I'll go with Amos.
Yeah. I mean.
What about Frenchboro? Frenchboro's after 4 horses to try the turf. They all won. They were all good. Dan was extremely good in the turf.
6 for 8 on the turf. Graded stakes winner.
6 for 9, actually.
6 for 9. You're right. I
know I am.
I flubbed the bottom of the 9. Looked like an 8.
All right, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, Rumble can win. He's very
Rumble,
dangerous.
I
He
think,
can-
almost, but isn't Rumble a little bit hurt by the inner turf here? And if he's not getting it done at Belmont with the big turns and the,
There's
going
going to be a race here once this meet where more than one person actually wants the lead.
Then that's the other problem.
I don't
for
know
him.
when that's going to happen, but I'm holding out hope. I'm not giving up. I just want you to know. I
That's the
believe
other problem for
at
him.
some point there will be a race run at 2 turns in the turf here where more than one person is interested in saying the pace.
I mean, off the last
Could
race,
happen.
he's the one you want, right?
I'm holding out hope. I just want you to know I haven't given up. Race number 4 at 7 furlongs on the dirt. Dark money on the outside, the 8. He's the horse to beat, obviously, if he runs this last race where he got an 89 buyer, and it's not like the only time he's run a big figure, he's going to win. He's a little tough to trust.
What's the over/under on claims entered for dark money today? I'll set the over/under at 10.5. I would set the over/under. Yeah, of course he's
I'll
hard
take
to
the
trust.
under.
You take the under on 10.5?
Yep.
I'll give you a lunch on under 10.5.
No, that's okay.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, he's just hard. He runs well, and he looks like he's getting on track, and then he throws in these clunkers. And he's going to be – David has him even money on the morning line, which means he's probably going to be 3 to 5.
No, he's not. He's not going to be 3 to 5.
I think he's under even money.
Okay. I'll bet you he pays at least 380.
Bet.
Okay.
You mean he's 90 cents to the dollar.
more, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
A lot of action today.
Okay. What do you like about Durkin's call?
You know, this is a horse I've been against for the better part of the last year. I thought he ran okay 2 starts back in the slop, even though I don't think he wants any part of a wet track.
You dream a lot about wet track.
The last 2 times this horse ran, he was more forward than I think he's comfortable being. I don't want him as forward as he was. I certainly don't want him being chased after. I want him to settle. And in this race, I think 2 back in the slop, and then last time going a mile, it was going to 7. I think he'll have more of a chance to relax and settle and make one run. Now, look, he's not the most
I'm dizzy
reliable
here.
sort. He's not the most reliable sort either, but I think he'll get to play.
He wins a race every couple of years. I mean, I
think
don't know
he'll
what he's
get
so
a
rely
chance.
about him.
Listen, he's third
Maybe,
time.
I tell you what, the next time
Andy,
Halley's Comet blows
he's
by,
third
he's
time,
ready for a
he
win.
is third-time Rob Atras.
Is that an angle? Third-time Rob Atras?
But he caught a sloppy
Stats for
track
that?
first time for him, and he went a mile the second time. I don't think he wants
But
to
he
do
ran well on
either
the sloppy
thing.
track. So how can you use the sloppy track
I
against
don't-
him? Maybe
that
he
was
loved
his
it.
best sloppy track race, so maybe it was Rob waking him up. I still don't think this was a sloppy track horse. I
What
don't
about
think
his
he's a
last
miler.
race? Last race was hideous.
His last race,
Not a
he's
miler.
closer. He's closer
Not a
than he's
miler.
supposed to be.
Best race he's ever run is at a mile.
He's
Best
closer
race he's
than
ever
he's
run is at a
supposed to
mile.
be.
That's nonsense. Just because he's not a miler is just ridiculous. His best race
Just
by
because
far.
his biggest figure is at a mile, that doesn't mean that's his best race. Andy.
Actually, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Actually, it does.
No, it
It's
doesn't.
significantly his best figure, and he is a miler.
Okay.
To suggest he's not a miler is silly. He didn't run well last time. You want to bet him, that's fine. But to say you didn't think he won a mile last time,
I don't
when
think
5
he's a
races back he
miler.
ran an 86 buyer in his
I know
next
one thing. He doesn't want to be chased after. He doesn't want
Anthony,
to be
it's not an
kept
eye
close.
test. Figures matter.
I
And
understand
the
an eye
reality is
test.
he's a miler. He has no problem with a miler.
Because
ran
he has one
he ran
figure
poorly
at a
last
mile
time.
doesn't mean he's a
He doesn't
miler.
have one figure at a mile. He's other figures at a mile.
Okay.
His second best figure showing is at a mile when he was second to Big Mountain. There's no argument that he's not a miler.
Okay.
No valid argument
He's
he's
not
not a
a
miler.
miler.
There's
He's
no.
a sprinter.
It's hooey.
Okay.
It's the kind of thing that people go, I can't
Okay.
listen because he's not making
Okay.
sense. You want to discard his last race, that's fine. But he is a horse that's very efficient at a mile. Doesn't mean he's not good at 7 furlongs, but he's run well at a mile.
He's 0 for this distance, but he's also run. He's run for different
He has run a
connections.
76 buyer high on this.
He's run for different connections. I want to see what Rob could do with this horse when he's getting a chance to do what I think he wants to do.
I just don't understand the valid argument. You like him, that's fine, but I don't get. It's not logical to say
Okay.
he's not a miler because it's just
Okay.
there's factual stuff that defies that.
Okay.
Why aren't you worried about Big Mountain getting loose here? I mean, Dylan's supposed to just go with him, set the pace, and 7 furlongs is easier to wire than in other distances. I think he's a very dangerous horse in this race.
Yeah.
I do. I don't say how you can say it. I mean, I don't know what Joel was doing last time rating him, and that was ridiculous. This horse needs to be on the engine to be effective. You don't think he's a threat to wire this field?
He just looks to me like he's fallen off his form. I know the race 2 back was okay, but he just looks like overall he's not the horse he
Durkin's
was
call
last
doesn't.
year.
He
No,
looks like he's
Durkin's-
fallen off his
Durkin
form
Hall
because
has-
they rated him.
Durkin's
they rated
call
him.
has. There are circumstances surrounding Durkin's
I
call.
completely disagree with
Okay.
everything you're saying.
Okay.
The number 2, Just Right. He's got races fast enough to win here. I just thought he could sit a reasonably good trip in this race, and his price might be fair. I'll be interested to see what he does. He's run well in Saratoga. I thought this race was mostly 2, 7, and 8. The 8 is absolutely the horse to beat. I don't have a major play against him, but he's going to be reasonably short, like you said. I think that Big Mountain is a real threat to wire the field. I have to imagine Dylan will go. Rating him obviously gave him no chance last time, and I thought that Just Right could get behind him. Maybe the 8 goes after the 7 a little bit, and Just Right's a horse who can get in the game a little bit. And I just thought he had a chance to get it done.
Yeah, you
here.
would think if anybody
Competitive.
goes and tries to put
Has
a little
faster
pressure on
races.
Big Mountain, it's got to be Dark Money, right? You don't want to let him get too far
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, but I don't think the Dark Money is going to compromise himself because he's much the horse to beat. So why would you go on to a giant run after him?
No, not at all.
Which I think why that Big Mountain rates to get away with at least an honest pace or a fair pace and not get buried. Race number 5. So we'll go back to the second to last race with Gale Horse Wind. When she finished second, Tuscan Queen was third, and 6 feet apart, I think, ran fourth in there. I thought that probably Gale Force Wind probably ran the best race of everybody. He got a good trip overall, but I just thought that ran pretty well in here. No great shakes. Just thought it was probably the right horse. And last time out, I don't want to beat up on the rider. I think it was a situation where somebody got hurt or something happened, and probably was the only rider in the room left to ride. So, and I think Gale Horse Wind was just completely and totally just dragged out of the race in her last race, and it was a race that was completely dominated towards the front end. So she actually ran extremely well to finish fourth. When you consider how the race was won, I just thought she was a supremely logical horse in this race. Nothing really. I mean, we'll see what happens.
She can win. I have 2 issues with her. She has no speed in races that are unfolding a lot more slowly than this one figures to, just because of the nature of these 5.5 furlong races at Saratoga.
Which races are slow?
They go fast. Yeah, they're not going very fast.
She has no
early in
speed.
her race,
Isn't it good if the paces are faster up here? What am I
she's
missing?
going to be that much farther back. And I'll tell you what I didn't like about the race 2 back. She looked like, whether it was Jose Lezcano, her rider, or her, she didn't want to be inside. He was looking to do everything. Demonstratively, he kind of bothered one of the also-rans coming out. He was doing everything in his power to get her outside. It looked like she was leaning out. It's a 16th of a mile less. I think this race is going to unfold quicker, and it's going to leave her with even more to do.
I hope it unfolds quickly. That would be great. I hope there's a faster pace in this race. I think that would make her close to a cinch unless she gets in trouble. For what it's worth, you have to be very careful when there are races in the form on the inner turf that are hand-timed. The final times are usually pretty accurate. The fractional times are absurdly wrong, and the problem is we're putting up fractional times that you'd have to be completely clueless to actually think they're correct. Because they didn't go 23, then 23 and 2, and then come home in 22 and 4 and have a horse make up multiple lengths. It's not making sense what they're putting up. They have one where they put a fractional time on a yielding turf course on the inner at Belmont at a mile 16th of 22. A rocket ship on the inner turf course couldn't go 22.
On the firmest ground in the world.
Firmest ground in the world, the fastest horse in America on the turf couldn't go 22. So don't put up fractions like they didn't use, but go to the Trackus, use Trackus on the website, and you'll get a more accurate picture. In the race, Gale Horse Win finished second in. The Trackus fractions are 21.94, 45.82. The final times jive. I generally don't have problems with the final times, but the fractional times are wildly inaccurate. They're not just inaccurate, they're wildly inaccurate. And I don't know any reason to post them. Either use the Trackus times or don't post them because they're just wrong. And I don't know what service is getting done. So, cease and desist. Go ahead.
Yeah. I have through a couple of horses, another Twist of Fate, who was a turf winner. A Journey to Freedom runs later on today. He is not a turf winner, but he's running some graded stakes, and he's run
today.
Well. Yeah, he'll probably be favored
at a mile and a half, man.
Right, at a mile and a half. But Chad Brown's tried to run this filly twice on the turf in her career, once last year up here, once off the layoff. He gets to get her on the grass today. I like the rider change to a Robert Keys Jr.
Here's the problem. A Journey to Freedom is a hard spun. I've got him second. He's a wild card. I put him in. Journey to Freedom is a hard spun. And another Twist of Fate is a scat daddy. So you've got two horses by very, very effective turf sires, and now you've got a horse by Into Mischief. So you're getting a significantly less effective turf sire. And I think that has to be noted, though I'm obviously going to use them. So Sand and Sea, who I needed for a fortune last time, is not bred for the turf. They like this horse a lot. He's now failed miserably.
He had
awful. No excuse last time at all. So now they're giving up and throwing her on the turf, but you're using her.
So I thought the same thing you did. And there's a work 2 back on the turf
that's really awful.
That's awful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yet, this horse is being run on the turf today.
Because he's running on the turf before he puts her in for a tag. She cost $180,000.
You know what? Maybe you're right. But I'll find out at 8, 10, 12 to 1.
Is that a good price?
I mean,
on a horse that showed no ability to run?
Might not be, me and you might be able to outrun her on the turf. Me and you might be able to outrun her, period.
Seems
but I'll
like
find out at a double-digit price.
Well, you can bet horses double-digit price in any race.
I'm saying I'll find out. I'll take.
Are you concerned that the 8 could wire the field in here 6 feet apart?
Yes, I am. Listen, this is a little bit of a spread race for me because I would be foolish not to use Gale Horse Wind, and I think you'd be foolish not to use a horse who looks to be on a lead. Johnny rides these races at Saratoga more aggressively. That's why I figure this race is going to unfold. You know, I think he realizes
Johnny's still over the meet, right? I just want to. Is he still over the meet?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, how many horses has he ridden?
20.
I mean, are you really going to be one of these guys that's jumping off the left? I had people calling me last night telling me Chad Brown's struggling. Well, yeah. People were calling me on the call-in show last night.
I think that Chad would say he's having a rough meet so far. I mean, he's had a
from here to here for 4 wins. I mean, that's not struggling. That's some bad racing luck.
I completely agree. But I think it's not like struggling is a stupid word.
Of course
I didn't say Johnny was struggling. He hasn't won yet.
That was one of the call
Well,
leaders last
that's
night.
just dumb.
Yeah.
No, but he hasn't having a great meet so far. He's had mediocre luck, no question about it. But that's
Yeah,
racing.
that's racing.
You're going to get mediocre luck. Now he has lost an inordinate amount of very close photos, and they'll turn around. And I don't think anybody sane doesn't still think that he's the favorite to win the meet.
Correct.
But it hasn't been a great start. But that
Yeah.
can turn around in one
I
day.
mean, Johnny rides these horses more aggressively up here because I think he realizes he takes advantage of that.
I'm not sure.
16th of a mile less.
I don't see him riding super aggressive.
I
up here.
think he rides these races more aggressively.
Okay.
These 5.5 furlong
We'll have
races.
to once again agree to disagree. That's the first five. Late pick five will commence after a quick break and a good little hear from our good friends at Saratoga Water.
Make business meetings exquisite. Make a weekend outing exquisite. Make a late night snack exquisite. Make a night on the town exquisite. For nearly 150 years, the Saratoga Spring Water Company has been producing the finest spring water available anywhere. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
We're back. He's the big A, Anthony Stabile.
man.
I
He's not.
am not. Hey, I already saw the worst tweet of the day so far. Lots of scratches in this race. 5 of them were turf horses. 5 of them were MTOs, okay? Take it easy. 2 of them were 30 and 50 to 1 or something, morning line.
You should have
Relax.
to pass a test for a Twitter account.
Oh, yeah. There would be about 9 people on there. And I'm
should
not
have to
sure
pass
you
the
and I would
test.
be either one of them.
You should have to pass a test.
You know, I'm going to start a
Absolutely.
Twitter poll. Who here thinks Anthony should not be allowed to tweet after 10 o'clock at night? Okay, it's 1-0 so far. You can't vote.
When people ask me where I'm from and I say Queens and they're like, where's that? It's one of the 5 boroughs.
You know how when you go out
Really?
and you get drunk, you look at your phone the next morning and you hope
By the way, I was
there
drunk.
aren't texts to
Well,
like
you always,
all
I'm
these
handicapping
ex-girlfriends
drunk.
or whatever
I'm with
people you're
Phil
sorry
drunk.
did it. I check my Twitter on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday mornings, afraid that Anthony's done something silly. So
just
I've done
said
so many
know
silly
where
things.
Queens is. There
what-
was nothing wrong with that.
What-
Did
yeah.
I get some help? Maybe. But I just wanted the people to know that's where Queens is.
Anthony, I would if I were you, I'd take the 5th. Race number 6 in a mile and a half with all of those scratches.
Ton of them.
Tons of scratches
Tons,
in there.
oodles and oodles of scratches.
and oodles of scratches. Speaking of a journey to freedom,
There he is.
your top choice. Anthony's picking half brothers back to back.
I am. All in the family.
Here's the 2-mile race. Journey to freedom getting 3rd in here. I think he's very logical. I have no
Yeah.
argument against him, even though he's never won on the turf. He is 0 for 10. But
I
he
hate
still
betting
is-
horses like this, but he's getting some class relief today. It's been a steady diet of stakes races since the claim back in August of last year. He's run well in a few of them. He's just getting beat a few lengths to Arklow. The Spooky Channel race back at in the Connolly at Sam Houston was pretty good. I don't know. I think he's one of these horses where,
This should be good.
well, I think because he's had success at the longer distances, they've tried to run him more because he's finished.
He hasn't had any
well.
success at the turf,
He's
Anthony.
finished well.
He's had no
in those
success at the
races.
turf.
No,
I wouldn't use the term success.
Well, he hasn't won, but that doesn't mean he hasn't had success. He was okay going a little bit shorter back over in California, but he gets his mile and a half today, and he gets, like I said, I think it's a enough class relief to take a shortish price on him. I think this board will be I think it'll be a wide open board. David kind of feels the same way.
I think he'll be favored.
Say again?
What's the line, the Bob Dylan line? There's no success like failure, and failure is no success at all? Something like that. Okay, yeah, I think he's got a shot here. No question about it. He's logical. And so is He's No Lemon. But I'll say something about He's No Lemon. Can definitely win He's No Lemon. Show him winning here last year. This is not the same. This is a 7-horse field. This is a tougher field than the field he beat here last year. And I thought Nakamura got a pretty mediocre trip in this race. And maybe he would have won if that didn't happen.
Nakamura did, yes.
Yeah, though I think
Nakamura
he may have been Graham too, right?
Yeah, yes.
He was. I think my friend Bill Krager.
Yes,
I
he
think
was.
He was involved with that horse.
Nakamura. Great shoot.
Listen, he's
great
a horse.
shoot wrestler.
He's a horse that's proficient at these longer distances. Another horse has faced similar type fields than the 7 Journey Freedom has faced. I think he's very logical.
Okay.
But I think that if Dot Matrix runs his good race, he's going to win this race. I worry about his gait issues, turning ahead at the start. This is a horse that has gotten left more than a few times. No question about it. His gait issues 2 back were not his fault, and that was the mile. This is a horse, he won the 1.5 mile Connolly up at Houston. He's run against horses like Sadler's Joy, Cross Border, and Still Regard. He ran very well in that Perrette race when he wired the field. I think he's a horse who can be forward in this race. I'm not saying in front, but he's getting blinkers on. And I think he makes an enormous amount of sense in here, and he's going to be a square price. I think he fits as much, if not more, than anybody in this race, and I like his chances today.
Okay.
You know.
All right. The horse that I wanted at a little bit of a price, and I don't know what's going to happen with his price, is Karam, who his 2 best races have clearly come since being claimed by Safi Joseph. He went wire to wire, 2 back. He didn't get in Magassity's way last time. Magassity wound up taking them wire to wire under an aggressive Eric Cancel ride. And I would imagine that Opry's going to leave, but if Ricardo Santana Jr. is
No, this horse is a clear speed.
Yeah, he's going to be in front here.
Well, he very much benefited from the scratch of Real Factor. If Real Factor in here, he had 0 chance. Whatever chance he has now is because Real Factor scratched. The problem with him is he was atrocious last time when he sat behind a runoff 100-to-1 shot. And not only wasn't able to catch that horse, he was easily passed by Cross Border and really did no running at any point. And in his race 2 back, he crawled along on the front end against a significantly inferior field. Now, if he's able to absolutely crawl on the front end and nobody shows up in here, he has a chance to get a piece. But that's probably the only fair argument for him, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I want to try and bottom. I want to bottom them out. If you like this horse today, you're hoping he bottoms out the field.
So what do you mean when you explain to me what you mean when you say you're hoping he bottoms out the field?
I'm hoping that Ricardo Santana Jr. puts some distance. I'm hoping Ricardo Santana Jr. rides him like Eric Cancel rode Magassity last time.
I'm hoping when I get home tonight, there's a suitcase with $10 million in it sitting in my front porch.
I don't even need that much.
I'm rooting, guy. I'm hoping.
But what I'm saying, Ricardo's an aggressive rider. Mm-hmm. And Ricardo's not, I don't think we can...
What about any of his races suggest that's going to happen?
Well, his most successful races have been on the lead.
You didn't say you want him to lead. You said you want him to open up and put distance.
Yeah,
that's the argument we're having.
Well, going 1.5 miles, he should be able to, unless Opry is ridden for speed.
Well, Opry's not a
he
speed horse.
He should be able to have a 3 or 4 length lead on these horses.
Okay. Good luck. Race number 6. Race number 7. Huge scratches in race number 7. This was the real scratch race. This was the one that we should have been about. Big scratches. In race 7, Tom Amos's horse was scratched, Air Show. Brunate, who made a lot of sense. Brunate must have been a vet scratch, right? You see a horse hasn't run in a while.
I would imagine.
Have to assume that horse. Don't know what happened to Air Show. They could be all vet scratches for all I know. What are we doing here? Who'd you take here?
I wound up with Forest Spirit. Not because I was at dinner with Carlos Martin last night.
No, I'm guessing it has
the other day.
What? Got you? Forest Spirit?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I had a tough time with this race.
No kidding.
Tough time with this
You
race.
ain't kidding me. You had a tough time with this race. How's she going to win this race? He going to win. Wow. Forest Spirit.
What?
You're really off the reservation.
Who are you supposed to be afraid of?
Well, this horse got an absolutely perfect field trip in a horrendous field 2 back. And then last time on a sloppy track in a 4-horse race where one of them was eased, finished last, basically. So I'm not exactly sure where we're supposed to.
Who is he running? Who is he supposed to be? Am I supposed to be afraid of in here?
Good luck. Listen, I'm always happy to see the Blue Devil Racing Stable horses do. I hope I'm dead wrong here.
So hold on a second.
He can't beat U.S. Steel probably. He can't beat Papa Smooth. He only beat him because of the trip 2 back. Well, he can't beat Deputy Flag. That I know. He can't beat Deputy Flag. Okay, you and I are on. I don't know.
If U.S. Steel.
Wow.
So you pick the race. So you're telling me I picked those. There's no chance, and you picked the race.
Well, U.S. Steel is a very
the 2 speeds. I mean, they're the 2 speeds, and Debo is not that slow.
Okay, I just don't like your horse at all. I hope she runs well. I hope for the connections I'm wrong. I don't know how you could like her, but good luck. Horses I think are interesting in here, and we'll go through the field. Well, Tano, I don't know what happened last time. Maybe it was a sloppy track. Maybe this horse just stinks. But you have to admit, he's a little interesting last night. Time is a short price, and he just was eased. I don't like him. I scratched him for 3rd. He was my 5th choice, actually. I forgot to add a 4th.
Mine would be the 6th, by the way.
Sure. I mean, why not? Let's keep it going. As far as U.S. Steel, there was a Safi Joseph horse on the turf the other day that had a very, very similar look to this horse. Went off 7-2 and finished second and was bet like they knew it was going to run. This is a very dangerous trainer whose first career start is good enough to be very competitive here. And that was the 2-year-old Delaware going 5.5. The next race, this horse was only 11-1 in a race with Happy Mac, who would be 1 to 1 billion in this race. Now, the horse was basically eased, and they're dropping significantly. But Safi Joseph and a horse like this horse will be one of the favorites because of the scratches, and I'll be surprised if this horse isn't live today. I don't like the Debos of the world either, but did run a big figure last time. But I don't like that horse. Papa Smooth, I get it. Forest Spirit beat that horse. I think Forest Spirit is very fortunate to beat him, but we disagree. But what about Deputy Flag? I mean, this horse, the field he was running in last time is so much better than this. You don't have Deputy Flag in this field in your top 4? With the scratches, he's in a very advantageous position.
He's going to have to close the deal at 6 furlongs for the first time. I know you don't worry about the distance, but with him, man, it looks like it's all about real estate. He's coughed up some easy leads.
He's also lost the horses
to win at 5.5, and he was ready to cough that one up
too.
too.
He ran 274 buyers at 6 furlongs at 40-1 and 3-1 and not favored. I don't understand. He ran races that would win this. I believe in looking at their actual races and judging by the races they ran, not where they finished. You seem to think the finishing. The problem with him is correct. He has 6 seconds and 15 starts. I get it. They're all one-fers in here. I get it. Listen, good luck. I'll be surprised, but listen, I'm surprised a lot. I think U.S. Steel is a very interesting horse. The problem is with the scratches, you're not going to get any price on this horse whatsoever. So I'm 4. What do I got? 4, 8, and 3 left. I probably would have thrown in Magnificent Chrome as the 4th horse.
Okay.
Race number 8. Number 8's a tricky race. At least we agree in race number 8 that the strength of the race is in the outside 4 horses. We have a replay and a stat for Big Bobby. Is he your top choice?
He is.
Have at it.
Ran well in a loaded New York bred maiden race, came back and won. Now this is in the mud. I don't think he ran that much better in the mud than he did on the fast track first time out, especially when you consider having the experience under his belt. I don't know. I just thought he made a lot of sense. He's lightly raced in a field where a lot of these horses have had multiple starts against lesser. There are horses like Ninth Hour who've won a bunch of times and stuff, but I don't know. He just looked like a horse that had a little bit of a future, and I feel like he finds the right bunch to face winners for the first time.
Well, I disagree with that. I think he found a very competitive field to face winners the first time. I certainly believe he can win this race for what it's worth. That's Bill Mott. I think that's his. I think that's his junior high picture of Bill.
It's one theatrical one.
He's 2 for 33, with only 40% of him hitting the board. Off of maiden wins and dirt sprints. And that suggests that a lot of these horses haven't come back and run quite as well. And I think he's going to have to run every bit as well to win this race, which he can do. But I thought that stat was kind of interesting on him.
You think he has to run better than he ran last time to win this race?
Probably, yeah. I do. I do.
Based on?
Based on the fact that I'll get to with the 7 judge and jury, and we'll show him breaking his maiden last time. Now, obviously, judge and jury is a question mark off the layoff. There's no doubt about it. But Danny Gargan, for what it's worth, on 180-day plus layoffs in dirt sprints, and we'll see this stat after the race, is 4 for 8 with a $3 ROI. So these horses have come back and won off layoffs. You're talking about a horse, judge and jury, that ran a 70 buyer 11 months ago, pretty much. Routine Improvement puts this horse easily in the 80s. And Workout, who he beat, came back and ran an 80-plus buyer, improved about 20 points his next start, and he was the horse that took a ton of money. I think you liked him, actually.
That was on a wet track, though, wasn't it?
Doesn't matter on a wet track. The point is, took a ton of money, and he was the horse that should have been scratched. It wasn't scratched. So he beat a legit horse in Workout, and I just think this horse is very dangerous. You know, we talked about Danny, and he hadn't been winning. He's winning. And, you know, I don't know he's going to win yesterday. He got very unlucky in the 9th race yesterday with the pace dynamics and the horse having trouble. And I think judge and jury, who's forward, I think he's a very dangerous player at a fair price in here. I mean, you think it's going to be shocking when he runs an 83 buyer in here? And by the way, Devil's Code. You don't think Devil's Code is a horse that he ran an 84 by or 2 back, and then last time out he lost position in a race that was dominated by horses that were in the inside in there. Now, the winner did close, but the vast majority of the running in that race and that day I thought was somewhat forward. He ran a big race 2 back at 7 furlongs.
Yeah, perfect trip. It's the outlier to the rest of his card.
What's the winner's laugh?
Yeah, I know he did.
Well, what price would winner's laugh be in this field if he was still eligible?
Winner's Laugh got away with ridiculous early fractions that day, and this horse just kind of...
He did?
Yeah.
Wasn't a fast final time. Okay. Well, winner's laugh was getting a slow pace or not. It finished... okay, we
I
disagree.
think if you want somebody other than Big Bobby in here, you want Color Me Potsy,
Okay.
who is one of the more experienced horses in here. I think if you toss the race 2 back over a ground with some moisture in it, his overall form on fast tracks of late, I don't know. I feel like his figs with a little improvement and
So his figs matter.
no.
Okay,
I said with a little- I said
I'm just
with a
trying to
little improvement.
Well, I think
but you're
he's
acting like I said to you if Big Bobby runs the 83.
no. We're
he-
talking about there's been some number of figure discussions during
Yeah,
today's show,
yeah.
which you're very select about.
Well, you just got done telling me that workout improving 20 points on the slop didn't mean the slop had nothing to do with it, essentially.
I didn't say it had nothing to do with it, but he did improve significantly, and he came back in a race, and he took a ton of money, and should have been a gate scratch for running
Yes.
off, and he wasn't. He was easy to start. Color Me Potsy is dangerous. I completely agree with you, and I think I want to this last race, and I don't know what Eric was doing last time. I really don't. This horse that broke, well, he's asking him, and okay, he wasn't going to settle there, but he just gets
just sucks out of there and he gets
completely and
yeah,
totally steadies out of the race. I mean, he doesn't steady sharply, but he just
It
loses
wasn't,
all-
to be honest, I mean, it wasn't even a steady. He just took him out of there.
Yeah, and he lost to a horse that wired the field. So the horse that won was able to control. And I agree. I think Color Me Potsy runs his last race
Very
and gets a
dangerous.
fair trip. He's very, very dangerous. My concern, I think that he's meeting some tougher horses here.
He is.
I just feel
he's
like the
potentially
horses
meeting some
outside
nice
of him
horses.
are better, maybe better horses than him. But there is no question in my mind, if he runs his last race and gets a fair trip, there's an argument he's the horse to beat. This was a terrific effort by him.
It was.
This was probably the best effort he's ever run, and he's in great form for Chris Englehart. And I agree with you. He could win this race. No, I mean, I put him fourth. I could have put him higher. I'm taking a little shot with Danny's horse because he ran well enough, and with routine improvement, Danny has good numbers off layoffs. Probably pointing for Saratoga with this horse. I think he could win this race and pay $9 to $12. And I'm really not particularly thrilled with Big Bobby. And Devil's Code, I'm an in-and-outer. I think he's gotten decent trips, but I think there's an argument he's also improved, and he can win here. I think any of these 4 horses can win.
I'm 5'6" with a little 7. I don't prefer Devil's Code, but I can see why people would like him.
Race number 8. Race number 9, the Lake George came up, a terrific race. Invincible Gal, I think Graham Motion said in our show that he's going to point her to a non-winners of 1 that we're hoping to run here next weekend. So she's not playing. But I don't think we lost any seriously major contenders in that horse coming out. It's funny, I disagreed with David Aragon, and I'm probably wrong. I thought that Toby's Heart was going to be a shorter price in this race. And
Wow.
You know, listen. David makes her 10 to 1. There's no way that she's going to be one of the favorites. I'm much more likely to be way wrong than he is in these things. I think Toby's Heart ran a very, very good race last time. I'm going to start with the race, and I also think that Navratilova is a very dangerous horse in this race because we're going to run the replay from Churchill. We'll show the start. Toby's Heart doesn't break. Now, to be fair, well, the first time Toby's Heart hasn't broken.
Correct.
And that's a major concern, no doubt about it. This is a race that was dominating the front end. Navratilova has to be aggressive today. If she's not, Jouster may just walk on the front end and wire this field. And we've certainly seen that happen before. I think Toby's Heart, and we can go to the stretch, ran an unbelievably remarkable race here. Was 3 wide the whole way, out of position, every step of the way after braking slowly. A race dominated the front end, and she still almost won the race. I thought this was a terrific effort, and I think she's a major player out of this race, even though it's potentially a tougher race. But she's going to have to get out of the gate.
Okay.
You have no opinion
I mean,
about this race, these horses?
I don't know. You make an awful lot of sense. she's finding a they're both finding a tough bunch of horses.
No
in
question
here.
about it.
A tough bunch of
But
horses.
there's no monster. There's no huge races.
There's
a tougher race
amount
to
of
tap in,
parity,
no doubt about
top to bottom, though. I mean, when I first went through the race, I threw out 2 horses.
No.
And when I went through it the third time, I threw out 1 more.
No, I don't.
And one of them scratched. By the way,
there's not a bad horse in this race.
There's not a bad horse.
Even
in
if
this
Instance
race.
Wilgal was in, there's not a bad horse. There's no in this race where you
No.
go, this horse is completely hopeless. I'm going to be shocked when this horse hits the board. Not a single one.
This is the kind of race where you could look at this chart in a year and a half, and all of them have won some sort of stakes race.
Let's talk about Runaway Rumor and Minone. Now, I know Runaway Rumor drew much better, and the draw here was a big help to her and bad for Minone. That's no doubt. But Minone was an incredibly unlucky loser. And this wasn't a bad ride by Manny. This was a very good ride by Manny. He got her position, sat behind horses. But the problem is that Runaway Rumor was able to get that outside clear run and just totally blind switches Minone in here. And by the time Minone gets out of that, extracted from that battle, Runaway Rumor is in full flight and well ahead of her. If
Yes.
Manny can get position with Minone, and that's a big if, though Manny's good in these spots. He did it with Delaware at Aqueduct. He knows how to do it. If he does, Minone could be very dangerous in here. And
Yeah.
I didn't even put her in the top 4. I had a 5th, but I
She's
prefer
the
her,
5th pick.
even though the 2 got a good post. I think Minone is clearly the better horse.
Yeah, I'm a Runaway Rumor fan. The post is what was the deciding factor.
No
for
question.
Me.
If it was the other way,
Other way,
you would have
yep,
no chance.
Absolutely. I probably like her a little bit more than you do as a horse overall.
I'm not knocking Runaway Rumor. I just think
Minone.
Minone is a better horse.
I think she's one of the ones for sure.
Horse you have on top is Amy C. We'll show her last race, and you can talk about it.
Now, Amy C was a horse that overseas was forward on the poly track. She comes here. She kind of just doesn't break alertly. She goes to the back of the pack. They walked on the front end. And at the end of the day, it didn't matter. She got whipped outside. She comes down at the center of the turf course, and she gets the job done. She beat Miss Delicious. Third draft did come back and beat Miss Spell the other day in a other than on Saturday. But this filly ran very, very well. And one of those Euros that came over without any turf experience. Do you worry about her going the other way? A little bit. For Chad Brown, they ordinarily don't. I was worried she was going to be
Chad
short
Brown
price
is
in
struggling.
here. I'm sorry?
Chad Brown's struggling, I thought.
He's struggling, yeah.
She's dangerous. I
She's
agree.
a
She ran very
dangerous
well.
horse.
She
She
beat the
ran
dynamics
well,
of the race.
overcoming a lot of stuff
She beat
last
the
time.
dynamics of the
Yep.
race last time. It was an absolutely terrific performance by her. I don't know how anybody sane could have any argument with that. This is a significantly better field.
No
I
question
know the
about
third
it.
draft ran well the other day in a race that collapsed and got a sensational ride by Jose Ortiz. This is a tougher bunch. She got left last time. That worries me too. And she's not going to be much of a price. But I no argument. She can win this race. I agree. As far as technical analysis, now I didn't show Jouster. I should have. Jouster is actually, oh no, this is technical analysis winning 2 back. Getting a dream trip here, no doubt. It's a pretty good allowance field. I still believe that she could be very good, technical analysis. I thought this win, I mean, she runs in here for about 50 yards, and she puts distance on these horses in the blink of an eye right here. And that's the sign of a good horse. Last time out, she was 4 wide in the first turn without cover, 3 wide in the second turn, kind of blew the second turn when they came in the stretch. She actually never stopped running, and when you consider the trip, I thought she ran remarkably well in there. Now, listen, Jouster, she may have the run of the race, you know, if the
That's why
9
I
doesn't
put her
go,
second.
Navratilova doesn't
I just
go.
worried about her getting loose.
What about Demidog? Isn't Landera supposed to go from the inside with
I
that
thought
horse?
she was going to go last time at Churchill.
How's she upsetting this field if she doesn't go? At least go enough to make it. Listen, I agree. I'm scared of Jouster.
I don't think she's fast enough to get in front of Jouster.
I don't
Andy.
think Jouster's much horse, but I'm scared of her
She
in this
uses the
spot.
speed. She takes advantage of her the
No,
speed
no
edge she
question about
has.
it. No,
That's
no.
what she does. You might be right. Listen,
No, she's
as
scary.
this year unfolds and as these horses mature into their 4-year-old year, it may just prove that she used her speed early on in there, in the crop to take advantage of this and win these races. She's supposed to be, and you have a guy in Luis Saez on her back that more often than
Louis
not
going.
does use the speed. So you have that confidence.
But Lezcano's got to go with Navratilova, and I think I'm not against her. She could wire this field. Believe me, I'm not. Anybody wants to tell me I think she's going to wire the field? I'm not going to give them a big argument against it. As we said at the beginning, I don't have a big fight against anybody here.
It's hard to.
I'd be surprised if Navratilova, Navratilova. I always pronounce it wrong.
Navratilova.
I have like a thing, sometimes you have a mental block with horses. It's a great race. Lake George Camp, great. And I say one thing. This was a great idea by the racing office to make this a mile.
Yeah.
A better race than a mile.
Yeah.
I really think that helps. And I
Agreed.
think one of the things, and listen, nobody likes to make fun of Martin Panza more than I do, but I think he's done a good job of acknowledging that there was a dearth of mile races for the 3-year-old fillies. And he's done a good job of helping that. I think a couple of races became mile races. I know the Wonder Again was a mile last year because we didn't run the Oaks, but still, I think that's something we've done a good job of adapting.
The 3-year-old filly turf program here is fantastic.
So, race number 10. We'll show you Thrill. And the Thrill, by the way, is not gone. She's back, in fact. The Thrill is back. Here she is finishing third to my favorite horse, Madam McLean, who couldn't get out of the paddock last time. It gave me one of my few winners last week. I've done well in races where there have been a great scratch. I don't trust either half of this entry. I understand they could run 1-2 in here. Neither of them are much horse.
Agreed.
And I don't need to take them at even money in this race.
Agreed.
I just don't. And
I don't either.
I'm looking for an alternative in here. What was your alternative?
I went to Wesley Ward on the rail with High Fair. Joel Rosario climbs back aboard. 2 maiden special weight tries going a mile, cutting back to the turf sprint.
The problem with her, though, is that, and I've got her third, I guess she can win because there's so few options. Wouldn't Wesley have run her shorter if he thought she was a sprinter?
Yeah,
that's what he does.
Could have been wrong. I don't know. You're not wrong.
Anthony, he could have been wrong is a bad answer.
Yeah.
The answer is yes. It is a concern that this horse ran
but
long
he could have
twice.
Been wrong. It's a concern. It's
That's
absolutely
a bad
concern.
answer. Of course he
It's
could
not
have been.
Just because it's not your answer, it's not a bad answer.
Of course he could have been wrong. That's not the point.
Yeah,
that was
could
like
be-
that ridiculous argument you talked when I was trying to explain to you that a horse was a turf horse running against dirt horses. It's a concern that Wesley Ward, who is probably the premier turf sprint trainer in the world, ran him twice going long and is now running short.
Yeah.
He could be wrong, and he's acknowledging he could be
Of
wrong,
course.
but he hasn't been wrong too often. He's been right a heck of a lot more than he's been wrong. So it is a concern.
He could have been wrong.
Of course he could have been wrong.
But it's a concern.
But
I
it's
like
a
the fact that she's dropping and she makes sense on the drop.
I like Closer to the Heart. I don't know what. I texted Graham Motion after I watched the replay of Closer to Heart's race before you just throw her out. And I said to Graham,
which one? The turf sprint?
Her last race. You can watch both of them. I watched both of them. But her last race, I said to Graham Motion, what was the jockey thinking? You've got a horse that was forwardly placed in the turf sprint trying to go long and took the horse back, put it behind an absolutely dead horse, and got completely backed up to absolutely last.
My favorite comment, past tiring rivals.
Yeah. And
it's not even
it's
me.
probably not around. And Graham said to me, I sometimes wonder if all the jockeys think that I want my horses to be far back. And, I think he's one of a number of trainers that must feel that way around, especially around here. She ran well enough in a turf sprint against better horses. She ran great, but she ran well enough. She ran a figure that's competitive. She's dressed down by that preposterous journey she had last time out. And I think she makes a certain amount of sense as an alternative in a race looking for alternatives. Certainly High Fair can win, but I'm not going to bet on Wesley Ward being wrong too often about the distances his horses want to go.
No,
but it doesn't mean it won't happen.
Yep.
Anyhow, it's been a pleasurable and fun and entertaining talking horses. So much so, we're going to do it, well, I'm going to do it N+1 more times at the meet than Anthony is.
Maybe.
N+1 more than maybe you could be N+2. It could be N+8 for all I know, but it's going to be at least N+1.
Strange things happen in Saratoga.
Because this has been such a pleasurable experience for all of you. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, don't you feel a certain responsibility to become one? Can't you just feel it, Anthony? And do it. Don't do it for us. Do it for Essential Quality. Keep Essential Quality on the sign-up bonus page. Don't bring Performer back. Spa 200 will match the $200 your initial deposit contest. You have now, Anthony, what do you have? About 4.5 hours to sign. Oh,
4 hours and 31 minutes.
Wait, we have the $2,000 pick 5 hit and split on the late pick 5 today. For those of you with night goggles, you have to opt in. Those who or without night goggles, you have to hop in. Saturday contest, you have until 5. Great contest. Always want to get involved. You play it. You play it through NYRA Bet. Another reason to join NYRA Bet. 1 to 6:30 today if you are not able to make it up. And big crowd, Ant, isn't it? Big crowd gathering.
Big. We had probably had 400 people at breakfast this morning.
Nice.
It's crowded today.
Nice. Did you sing at all? Did you serenade anyone at breakfast? Are you thinking at some point at breakfast you may serenade some of the fans?
If I take requests,
You get somebody to bring a ukulele, like Daniel Stern and Breaking
home
Away.
Sunday, I'll bring my harmonica up.
No. A ukulele. You need an
not Don
accompanist.
Ho, man.
You need an accompanist. You need a guitar or a ukulele.
Accompanist?
You need an accompanist. Phil's here. Phil probably plays a ukulele. Come on. Anyhow,
Phil plays a kazoo.
I hope you guys have had 1/50th as much fun as we have. And I hope you have a great rest of the day. Johnny I up next, the reprise, the scratches and changes.